Let's talk about anchors today. What we're going to do is we're going to put some anchors in the floor for mounting our equipment so that it's stable and secure when we use it. We're going to use some of these female inserts for cement. We're going to drill a hole in the cement floor. We're going to install the insert. These are going to live in here in the floor permanently, and we're going to cap them off with a set screw so that the threads don't get messed up or full of junk when we're not using them. That way, when you go to use it, you can just vacuum off the top to clean out the head, remove the set screw, and then you have a nice clean thread in your floor to mount your stud or bolt or whatever you need. For example, on this guy we have a small arbor press. When you go to do an operation on this, you're usually having the handle in front of you because it's easier to manage here. And for small stuff, you can put a decent amount of force on there. If you need to press harder, especially on the stand, you end up leveraging the machine forward. So one toe clamp on the back there on this bar would prevent that from happening. The same thing with this shear, and it's fine for cutting small or thin sheet metal, no problem. The machine's weight by itself will keep it in place. Even 16th inch aluminum starts to move it. See, I have to hold it back, and actually I've gotten in the habit with this one of either holding it with my foot or pushing on it with my knee when I walk up to it, and then I can cut off my piece. You don't want to have to be balancing on one foot to do anything in the shop, especially if it's a repetitive thing. A piece of strap steel here, you really have to hold it back in order to be able to do the cut, and that's only 1/8 inch material. So if we can strap this down, then we can actually use it at capacity and without doing yoga at the same time. And here's our kit for this project. You're going to need a drill that has some kind of a hammer setting on it. Cement drill bit for whatever insert you're using. These are a 3/8/16 thread. This takes a 1/2 inch drill. We'll use that. Whatever bolts you're going to use to mount, or maybe a toe clamp. In this case, we have a couple machines that we set up temporarily for projects, and we're going to use a toe clamp for that. Quick and easy, so it's easy to set up and take down and get out of the way. The Redhead brand also has an installation tool. You can get a little punch here that will allow you to, once you drill the hole, you put the insert into the hole, use the punch and a hammer to set the insert. So there's an insert in here inside that expands this section on the bottom. It's got a red plastic cap on it. And once you've expanded that in the cement, this insert is installed permanently. It's going to grip the hole, from the inside on the bottom. And there's a bunch of different styles of inserts you can get. Probably the epoxy ones are the best because they don't put any internal stress on the concrete, but they're also a little bit more expensive, or a lot more expensive, a little more involved to install. These are pretty cheap. Couple bucks a piece. You can get your machine mounted for 10 bucks. You're also going to need some air or some way of getting the dust out of the hole. The canned air is pretty handy in the workshop. If you don't have shop air or it's harder to get your air hose over there, this is pretty portable and easy. You can just grab it off your bench and go do your thing and be done. Most of us in small garage shops or home shops or small machine shops don't have a maintenance department to take care of stuff like this for us. We are the maintenance and installation department. The canned air or cleaning the hole out with your air gun is actually a really important thing. I feel like that's one step that most people don't do, or they don't do well. You really need to get the dust out of the hole for the insert to be able to grab the wall and have the strength that you want from it. If that hole is full of dust, it's going to leave room for this to potentially move or walk out later, so it's not going to be as permanent of an installation. So now what we need to do is we need to get the insert in the hole. This 1/2 inch drill didn't really drill a 1/2-inch hole. It's a little bit smaller, and this cement is kind of a pain because it's full of rock. So depending on what kind of cement you have will determine how easy this is. Sometimes you can just blast a hole right in there. It takes, you know, a few seconds. Other times you're going to spend a few minutes per hole. If you have a bunch of holes, it's worth getting a hammer drill, a real one, or renting one, because these little battery operated ones are not really intended for doing a lot of this. So let's push this insert in there. Hopefully we can get it flush with the surface of the floor. We should have enough depth here to get there. And you want to go just flush or a little bit lower if you can. And I think that'll do it. So now we'll try out their setting tool, which spreads those fingers out in the bottom and should lock it in place to be able to hold a load. And you do need to go all the way down per the instructions. I think that's far enough. Test out our threads here, because it does still have some of that plastic in the bottom. So as long as we can get 6 or 8 threads in there, we'll be good strength-wise. These 3/8 size I think are rated for like 600 pounds or so. The 1/2-13s are about 1100. So you can choose how many you need based on that loading. So in this case, you could either have a hole in the base of your machine, which is probably more likely, or some of our stuff is just made to be portable and has these feet on it. I was hoping that we can just use a regular milling machine toe clamp setup here and get enough of a hold on it for these little machines. It should be fine. So let's grab a piece of that we were cutting before. I was up on my knee here trying to hold the machine and cut at the same time. With this here, now we can just use my body weight the way that this machine's intended to be able to cut off what we need to in a civilized and safer way. And it'll make the cuts more accurate too, because I can put my focus into cutting on the line or the measurement instead of holding the machine and doing it at the same time. So this is 1/8-inch bar also, 2-inch wide. So just as another example, with this little arbor press, I can put as much force as I want on this, and it's not going to go anywhere. It's safer, definitely, with it mounted to the floor. It's easier to use, and it gives you a lot more control doing your work. A couple more things I want to share with you. When this insert is not being used, we'll just throw a set screw in there, and that'll keep junk on the floor out of the threads. And you'll probably have to vacuum it off when you go to take it out, because that head of the screw is going to get filled up with dust and dirt on the floor. You just pull that set screw out, and then you're ready to mount your machine, put your stud or whatever bolt you need in there. Another thing I want to show you is I've chosen a washer and a bolt that fits this arbor press, for example, and rather than going to find this bolt and washer combination every time we need to set this machine up here, I will take the hardware or special tool or whatever piece we need for a special setup on a machine like this. I will just take it and zip tie it to the machine somewhere that's out of the way where it won't get disturbed or dirty or lost, and that will live on the machine from now on. When you move the machine back and you need to set it up again, you can just grab that piece of hardware and go do your mounting. You'll be good to go. That way you never lose it and you don't have to hunt for it and waste time all over again. You can also put information in there, something that takes a consumable that you need to reorder or replace. It's handy to know what size it is, and just having a little tag in there that tells you that information prevents you from having to go look it up or remember it or deal with it at all. You just look at the tag, go place your order, and get another one. Makes your life a lot easier.